joined by the Ogun State government and the state chapter of the Nigerian Labour Congress (NLC, the government has inaugurated contributory pension scheme review and consequential pensions adjustment committees to ensure improved welfare for the public and civil servants as well as the pensioners. The government and the organized labor in the state had signed a memorandum of action on July 1, 2022 to put an end to the strike and also settle the bottlenecks around issues relating to workers and pensioners' welfare in the state. Details of the event are in this package. We will bring you the details in the course of the news. President Muhammadu Buhari has directed the Minister of Education, Malam Adamu, to resolve the prolonged strike embarked upon by the 4 university-based unions and report back to him in 2 weeks' time. President Buhari gave the directive on Tuesday after he received briefings from the relevant government ministries, agencies and departments involved in resolving the face-off with the university unions. President Buhari summoned the Tuesday meeting to receive briefing from the government team on why the strike has lingered for too long. Sources at the meeting also said that President Buhari directed that the Minister of Labour and Employment, Senator Chris Ngigi, must be in any of the meetings to resolve the crisis. The sources further said that the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, SGF, Mr. Boss Mustafa, should be part of the team to interface with the striking unions. One of the sources said that the President commended Ngigi in his efforts so far to resolve the face-off. Those at the meeting were the Minister of Education, Malam Adamu, the Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Dr. Zainab Ahmed, the Minister of Labour and Employment, Senator Ngigi, and the Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, Issa Pantami. Others are the Head of Service of the Federation, Dr. Folashade Yemieson, the Chairman of National Salaries, Income and Wages Commission, Abeokuta, the Director General Budget Office, Ben Akabwizi. Meanwhile, the leadership of the Academic Staff Union of Universities on Tuesday said it would not be subjected to blackmail by the Minister of Labour and Employment, Dr. Chris Ngigi. The national president of the union, Professor Emmanuel Oshodeke, stated this during a media briefing with journalists in Abuja. Speaking in Abuja, Oshodeke said the union will not be subjected to the blackmail of the Minister of Labour and Employment, Dr. Chris Ngigi, who has continued to blackmail ASU by churning out lies. The ASU president alleged that the federal government has stopped members' salaries, thinking it will make the lecturers go back to work. The union embarked on a strike on Monday, February 14, 2022. The strike entered its 155th day on Tuesday, July 19, 2022. The chairman, Ogun State Universal Basic Education Board, SUBEB, Dr. Femi Majekudumi, has led other members of the board on a monitoring exercise to some primary schools within Abeokuta metropolis to ascertain the level of compliance with the rules guiding the unified examination rounding off the 2021-2022 academic session. Elizabeth Esson was with the monitoring team, and here is her report.
The Ogun State government has adopted unified examination at the end of every third term for public schools in the state to have a uniform academic ratings and to ensure that all schools cover the expected syllabus for every academic session. The State Universal Basic Education Board, led by its chairman, Dr. Femi Majekudumi, led the monitoring team to some public primary schools in Abeokuta metropolis to ensure the unified examination rounding off 2021-2022 academic session is taking place with adequate logistics.
It's just started. We want to make sure that everything is going on fine. Materials have arrived as they should. The teachers are there, the examiners are there. And we seize the opportunity to check the schools as well. Make sure that everything is okay. The materials are well here, and everything is going on fine. Principally, that's why we are here. But as I said, we look at the school generally, exam for the whole state. So what is happening here now, what I'm doing, leading a team, is being done all over the 3 senatorial districts.
Pupils were seen writing their examination under the supervision of their examiners. Some of the head teachers who spoke with OGTV News adjudged the exercise as the best for the pupils.
The state government has been trying, so the exam is all right. The materials are enough. We have access, so everything is going on smoothly.
Everything is okay, and we have enough question papers, and the pupils are trying their best, and the teachers also. All of us are in attendance to monitor the examination.
There is no problem, no hitch problem concerning the examination. The Ogun State government, they are performing wonderfully. The Lord is helping them.
Schools visited were Africa Church Nursery and Primary School, Owowo, Abeokuta North Local Government Primary School, Lomori, Owu Methodist Nursery and Primary School, and Lishabi Modern Nursery and Primary School 1 and 2, all in Abeokuta. The examination is expected to last for 1 week. The examination is expected to last.
In a bid to address the huge infrastructure deficit and lopsidedness in the development of schools in the state, the current administration has adopted a strategic approach in tackling the problem, which was inherited from the previous administration, without leaving any school behind. Commissioner for Education, Science and Technology, Professor Abayomi Arigbabu, made this known while addressing the media on the recent publication in an online medium about students writing their examination on bare floor in St. Kizito High School, Iwokwen, Ogun Waterside Local Government. Matthew Showme completes the report.
With its yellow roof revolution, the current administration in Ogun State has been outstanding in the rehabilitation of schools and provision of furniture to achieve conducive learning environments. Commissioner for Education, Science and Technology, Professor Abayomi Arigbabu, said to ensure even distribution of this intervention while addressing the huge infrastructure deficits inherited from the previous administration, the government adopted a strategic approach in which chairs and tables were distributed to schools in the first phase of the 25,000 school furniture scheme of the state governments.
There's hardly any local government you get to, say that you won't find yellow roof buildings in our schools. And it's not limited to buildings. It extends to furniture, laboratory, rehabilitation, and so on and so forth. Even toilets. The new thing we are also doing now is that we have injected technology into what we are doing, not only into teaching and learning, we have also injected technology into infrastructure, intervention.
Professor Arigbabu stated that the government is addressing the huge challenges in the sector based on the peculiar needs of schools, and revealed that St. Kizito High School, Iwokwen, is one of the beneficiary schools in the first phase, and another set of 100 chairs and tables has again been distributed to the school to further address the problem.
We no longer want this institution to be apposite, because if you continue to produce without this type of database, what will happen is that you just say, okay, go and give 50 tables and chairs or 100 tables and chairs to all schools. Whereas some schools might even need more than that. People going around schools, maybe looking at whether there is deficit somewhere and so on. Well, we have a database of this, and then if we put in what we feel that the school needs, and there is still need for more.
Commissioner for Information and Strategy, Alhaji Wahid Odushile, who also joined his voice, made it known that the distribution, which has been well planned to be done in phases, would address the various situations on the ground in schools across the states.
What you saw about the issue of St. Kizito's is part of what we met on ground on our schools when His Excellency came on board. The situation was so bad that His Excellency had to say that he had to declare a state of emergency. And we know when you declare a state of emergency, we take some rapid action. And part of the actions he took was let us the approval for the 25,000 furniture for the schools.
They are sure that the government will continue to cater for the education needs of the states. Matthew Showmi, OGTV News.
President Muhammadu Buhari has unveiled the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited with the mandate to achieve the desired energy security, which will support sustainable growth of the nation's critical economic sectors. President Buhari, who performed the ceremony, said he looks forward to NNPC becoming a dynamic company of choice, which will continue to deliver value to its stakeholders and the global energy community. It is indeed a new dawn for the nation's petroleum industry as President Muhammadu Buhari launches the rebirth of the NNPC Limited to deliver energy for today, energy for tomorrow. The landmark event is in furtherance of the implementation of the Petroleum Industry Act, which formally positioned the NNPC and the entire oil and gas industry on the path of sustainable growth, profitability, and prosperity.
NNPC Limited will operate as a commercial, independent, and viable national oil company at par with its peers around the world to sustainably deliver value to its over 200 million shareholders and the global energy community, while adhering to its fundamental corporate values of integrity, excellence, and sustainability. It will, of course, conduct itself under the best international business practices in transparency, governance, and commercial viability.
Privileged to lead the creation of the NNPC 44 years ago. As the then Petroleum Minister, President Muhammadu Buhari was also responsible for reforms of the oil and gas industry, including the rebirth of the NNPC. Both the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Tempere Silva, and the Group Team Executive Officer of the NNPC Limited, Mele Kolokiari, thanked President Buhari for his unparalleled leadership, steadfastness, and unalloyed support in ensuring that Nigeria's oil and gas industry is on a sound footing. You are still watching OGTV News. Just ahead, federal government plans held recently in Geneva, Switzerland. Speaking on her visit to Nigeria, the WTO Director General Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala said the home country stands the chance of benefiting from resolutions reached on the global economy. The month of June saw a global solidarity by ministers of trade under the World Trade Organization in the city of Geneva, Switzerland. They deliberated, agreed, and made declarations on fishery subsidies, overriding patterns to produce local vaccines, food security through weather, commerce, and reforms in the WTO, among other issues bordering on global economy. In the month of July, the Director General is on her feet around the globe to ensure the decisions reached by the ministers is brought to good use, and it begins with tour of countries worldwide depositing their instruments of acceptance for the agreements to come into effect.
I don't want it to take 2 or 3 years, the normal time these types of agreements take to come into effect. I want to do it within the next 6 to 9 months. And I would like Nigeria to be among the very first to deposit this instrument. Relevant stakeholders have met to specifically consider the agreement on fisheries subsidies and deliberated on how Nigeria can implement the agreement, while also taking advantage of the opportunities presented by the newly created WTO Fish Fund.
The conclusion on agreement on fisheries subsidy is a fulfillment of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals 4.6, which the WTO is glad to accomplish after 21 years stalemate. INEC promised on Tuesday to deliver best ever general elections in Nigeria in 2023. Its chairman, Professor Muhammadu, gave the assurance when he received delegations of the International Republican Institute, IRI, and that of the National Democratic Institute, NDI, in Abuja. He said the meeting was the first that INEC was hosting after Saturday's governorship election in Osun, and assured that it would improve on its successes in subsequent elections. Professor Yakub also spoke about the governorship elections held in Ekiti State last month and that of Osun held on Saturday. As for the preparation for the 2023 general elections, the INEC boss assured the Commission shall deliver a free, fair and transparent elections to Nigerians with the experience of Ekiti and Osun elections, which turned out to be good. Earlier, Mr. Frank LaRose, Secretary of State for Ohio, USA, and leader of the delegations, commended INEC on its various efforts at improving on the conduct of elections in Nigeria. LaRose, who is an election commissioner in the state of Ohio, described his first visit to Nigeria as a great learning opportunity. He urged INEC to keep improving on Nigeria's electoral system. The federal government is to adopt some specific measures aimed at checkmating incessant bandits' attacks on soft targets, especially schools in Nigeria. Some of the measures include temporary abolition of boarding schools in rural areas, creating a special security unit for schools, and introduction of security studies in the curriculum of our institutions. The Permanent Secretary, Federal Ministry of Education, Mr. Andrew Adijo, who announced this in Yola at the 81st Joint Consultative Committee on Education, said other measures included drilling of students and teachers on emergency measures, construction of perimeter walls around schools, and the installation of CCTV alarm system. Adijo noted that it had become very pertinent in the light of attacks on our educational institutions, kidnapping of innocent children, wards, and even parents and guardians, culminating in an unsettling air of insecurity that threatens the educational systems. According to him, the need to ensure the delivery of qualitative education in Nigeria is a common trend that runs through all parents. Hence, the need to ensure the existence of a peaceful, secure, and serene environment for effective teaching and learning, work individually and collectively towards eliminating extreme cases of fear and uncertainty. Declaring the workshop open, Governor Muhammadu, among others, said, while the general security of lives and properties of all Adamawa citizens remain paramount priority, more important is the security of the schools that hatches the younger ones to take up the task of nation building. About 143 Nigerians stranded in Libya have been received by the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, on Tuesday at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport in Lagos. The Director General of NEMA, Mustafa Ahmed, who was represented by the Acting Coordinator of the Lagos Territorial Office of the agency, Mr. Ibrahim Farinloyi, made this known to the News Agency of Nigeria in Lagos. Farinloye said the stranded Nigerians arrived at the cargo wing of the Muritala Mohammed International Airport at about 3 in the afternoon with Boeing 737-800 Al-Barak Air with registration number 5A-DMG. He said the returnees were brought back to the country by the International Organization for Migration IOM through a voluntary repatriation program. He said the program was meant for the distressed Nigerians who had left this country to seek greener pastures in various European countries but could not afford to return when the journey became frustrated. Farinloye said 96 male adults, 36 female adults, 8 male and 1 female child, 1 female infant and 1 male infant were brought back to the country. In fulfillment of the Memorandum of Action signed by the Ogun State government and the state chapter of the Nigerian Labour Congress, NLC, the government has inaugurated contributory pension scheme review and consequential pensions adjustment committees to ensure improved welfare for the public and civil servants, as well as the pensioners. The government and the organized labor in the state had signed a memorandum of action on July 1, 2022 to put an end to the strike and also settle the bottleneck around issues relating to workers and pensioners' welfare in the state. Details of the event are in this package.
At the governor's office, Okemos Abeokuta, secretary to the state government, Mr. Tokunbo Salabi, said the welfare of both serving workers and retirees is germane to the agenda of the Prince Dakwa Abiodun-led administration, adding that it has set machinery in motion to commence the payment of gross salary from July 2022. The state scribe tasked the committees to critically examine the operations and implementation of the contributory pension scheme to determine the improved number of monthly pensions payable to retirees in the state and local government to cushion the effect of the current economic realities.
Deductions, we're going to solve it in a limited time. And that limited time is, and then we adopted a two-pronged strategy. The first strategy is to say, let us stop digging new holes. By stopping to dig new holes, we're saying, with effect from July, this money's payments will be made, salaries will be made in gross. So it is your gross salary, and anybody who has deductions to make, and then directly make those deductions and all that, so that we know that we are stopping the bleeding by making those gross payments.
Also speaking, the state chairman of Nigerian Labour Congress, Comrade Emmanuel Bankole, expressed optimism that the inauguration of the committees would address lingering labour issues.
I want to assure the government of our commitment and sincerity to ensure that the needful is done, and at the end of the day, it's going to be a win-win situation.
On his part, the state chairman of Nigerian Union of Pensioners, Comrade Waheed Oloyede, admonished the committees to ensure speedy recommendations towards boosting public confidence in government. The Contributory Pension Scheme Review Committee members include permanent secretaries in the Ministry of Finance, Alhaji Azan Adekunle as chairman, Budget and Planning, Mrs. Fumilayo Dada, Bureau of Establishment and Training, Mrs. Lydia Afajumbo, State Pensions, Mr. Kolawole Shodende, Service Matters, Mr. Downsi Ogunleye, and Local Government Pensions, Mrs. Oluwabukola Adeniregun, Secretary, Treasury, Mr. Tunde Aregbeshola, and his counterpart in the Ministry of Justice, Mr. Bamidele Adebayo, Director of Planning, Research and Statistics, State Pensions, Mr. Babajide Magjob, among others. Representatives of the organized labor in the committee were the chairman, Nigerian Labour Congress, NLC Ogun State Chapter, Comrade Emmanuel Bankole, Trade Union Congress, TUC, Akim Lasisi, Benko Ademola, Akim Balogun, and Olusegun Adebiyi. Similarly, the Consequential Pensions Adjustment Committee members include the Permanent Secretary, Minister of Budget and Planning, Captain Mrs. Fumilayo Dada as chairman. Our counterpart in the Finance Ministry, Alhaji Azan Adekunle, Establishment and Training, Mrs. Lydia Fajumbo, and State Pensions, Mr. Olakunle Shodeinde. Other members include Permanent Secretary Service Matters, Mr. Daunsi Ogunleye, Local Government Pensions, Mrs. Oluwabukola Adeniregun, Accountant General, Mr. Tunde Aregbeshola, Justice, Mr. Bamidele Adebayo, and Director, Transitional Pension Scheme, State Pensions, Mr. Kayode Ogun. Other members are the representative of the Nigerian Union of Pensioners, which include Honorable Samson Adebo, Comrade Emmanuel Adeegbe, Tajuddin Ogutoyinbo, Alexander Obadimu, and some members of the organized labor, Abiodun Akinola, Adebiyi Olusegun, Ismail Sonyaolu, and others.
Phenomenal music star Abeokuta, popularly known as Portable in one of his social media handles, claimed to be instrumental to the formation of the notorious cultist group 1 Million Boys, has attracted an investigation order from the Office of the Inspector General of Police through the Office of the First Public Relations Officer. In a swift reaction, the singer has, however, retracted his comment that he was part of the formation of the notorious cultist group 1 Million Boys, a crime gang unleashing terror in Lagos. Speaking in Abeokuta, First Police Public Relations Officer CSP Muyiwa Adijobi said the force will carry out its investigation either with or without the retraction.
Portable has not apologized to anybody. It's not an individual thing. It's a systemic thing. He made a video confessing that he actually originated or formed 2 cult groups in Lagos. And we know these are deadly cult groups in Lagos that we cannot in any way overlook such confession. We have told our units, particularly Intelligence Bureau, Commissioner of Police in Lagos, and any police outfit is free to invite Portable for interrogation. They are free to do that. It's just interrogation and investigate. If it's not fun-worthy, no problem. But if it's fun-worthy, it will be forced to face the full wrath of the law. Enough of unnecessary rascality in Nigeria. We need to have a better system. We need to have a sanitized system. We are Africans, we are Nigerians, we have our cultures, we have our moral values. There are certain things we should not be doing. We should not be injecting wrong thinking or wrong ideas or ideologies in the minds of the young ones that are coming up.
Adejobi noted further that the force will not condone any act that will jeopardize the relative peace being enjoyed around, and as the singer was seen to be a model, but the reverse is the case.
To be above board and suspicion, but expected to be role model to those that are coming behind us. Even our peers, we should lay good examples for them to follow. So it's not a personal thing, it's a systemic thing that even Nigerians were the one that called my attention to it yesterday. And when I went through and we made 1 or 2 consultations, we just felt that let police invite him for interrogation and whatever it is, we will know where we are going to from there. Thank you so much. Thank you.
In the meantime, the First Public Relations Officer of Nigeria Police, CSP Olumuyiwa Adijobi, has advised Nigerian youths to engage themselves in meaningful ventures to earn a living rather than involving in fraud and other social vices. He made a call while delivering a lecture at the 2022 Public Lecture of Federal College of Education, Abeokuta. Sheyi Alao reports.
The public lecture is aimed at sensitizing the youth and young adults on the ways to get rich without involving in criminal activities. Speaking on the topic titled Insecurity and Get Rich Quick Syndrome, the implications for the Nigerian society, CSP Olumuyiwa Adijobi stated that the quest for quick wealth and luxury have led to an increase in crime and disregard for law and order across the country, with kidnapping and killings of people for money rituals increasing on daily basis. CSP Adijobi, however, attributed the problem to loss of values in the family, church, mosque, and society at large. He then called on parents, government and religious organizations to ensure that social values and national security are promoted in a bid to improve national security through values reorientation.
Most of these crimes that are on the prowl now, they are the type that are connected to getting rich quick, kidnapping, ritual killing, cultism in most cases. Most of these crimes venture into the end products are tailored to getting quick money, which is not part of us, is un-African, is not part of our system.
In his remarks, the provost of Federal College of Education, Abeokuta, said it is regrettable that these activities and other social vices have given the country a bad international image.
We need to look into what are the problems abound in our society, right? Not only in educational parlance, but generally. And we have discovered that the issue of insecurity is germane to especially to our youth that we produce. And that's why we have decided to choose this very topic.
The participants commended the organizers for the timely lecture.
It's of interest to almost everybody here. Students, lecturers, community people, everybody in the society. And it touched on issues that will affect every one of us.
The lecture actually targeted people like us, that's the youth, telling us that we shouldn't actually ask, we should follow the due process of getting money.
It will actually go a long way to those who want to hear.
Meanwhile, CSP Olumiwa Adejobi was honored with a Merit Award by the management and students of the institution. Sheyi Alao, OGTV News.
The remains of mother to the Speaker of the Ogun State House of Assembly, Right Honorable Olakunle Oluomo Alhaja Tawakalitu Agbola Oluomo, have been laid to rest according to the Islamic rites. Mufasir of Ifo land, Alhaji Abdul Wasiu Odebode, in his sermon described late Oluomo matriarch as a devotee Muslim who exhibited religious tolerance within the family and beyond. Kolawole Osho, who covered the burial ceremony which took place at Oba Oluomo compound, Ifo, Ogun State, reports that politicians, including the state government delegation and eminent personalities, came around to commiserate with the family of Right Honorable Olakunle Oluomo on the demise of his mother. Details of his report are presented in this package.
Dignitaries, including top government functionaries, community leaders, politicians, and clergymen, amongst others, have joined the Speaker of Ogun State House of Assembly, Right Honorable Olakunle Oluomo, to pay last respects to his mother and Oluomo matriarch, who is also the Iyasuno of Ifo, Alhaja Tawakalitu Oluomo, who died in the early hours of Tuesday, July 19th, at the age of 86. The early mourners, who joined the Oluomo family to pay glowing tributes to the octogenarian during the Islamic funeral rite, including the Secretary to the State Government, Mr. Tokunbo Talabi, who represented the State Governor, Prince Dapo Abiodun, Deputy Speaker, Akim Balogun, former Chief of Staff, Alhaji Shuaibu Salisu, and the Special Advisor to the Governor on Women Affairs, Honorable Adijat Adeleye Oladapo, amongst others, acknowledged the exemplary life well spent by the late Iyasuno of Ifo.
We're so grateful to God that she has lived an exemplary life. Since I've been here, I've put my ears to the ground to hear from the back benches, which is where the real appraisal is. And everybody has something very, very unique to say about our mother.
Alhaja has been very upright, she has been very caring, and she has given the necessary knowledge, education to Honorable Oluomo, and that has called to bear in all his activities in the House of Assembly.
Yeah, we are not mourning Alhaja, we are rather celebrating a well-lived life. She wasn't just a mother to the Speaker, she was a mother to all.
They described her as a devout Muslim whose life and time reflected a total dedication to the case of Allah, while commiserating with the children, including Speaker Oluomo. They, however, employed the family to take solace in the fact that the deceased lived a meaningful life with prayers to God to grant her eternal rest. The deceased's children, including Speaker Oluomo, his brother Akinola Oluomo, and another family member, Abegbo Olojede Ni Oluomo, explained that their late mother exhibited religious tolerance, patience, peaceful coexistence with nuclear and extended families and community members, irrespective of religious or tribal differences, stating that she would be missed for her prayers and elderly counsels.
A mother indeed. A mother in all ramifications.
In his sermon, the Mufassir of Ifoland, Abdulwasiu Odebode, counseled the people to imbibe the virtues of Mama, who was a devout Muslim and leader among Muslim women till her death, re-emphasizing that the need for all mortals to always live a righteous life and service to God, which were virtues worthy of emulation.
Meanwhile, Ogun State Governor Prince Dapo Abeokuta says he received the news of the death of Alhaja Olori Tawakalitu Agbola Oluomo, the mother of the Speaker of the State House of Assembly, Right Honorable Taiwo Olakunle Oluomo, who died on Monday with great shock and saddened heart. Governor Dapo Abeokuta, in a statement by his Chief Press Secretary, Mr. Kunle Shomorin, described Mama Oluomo as a strict disciplinarian, devout Muslim, and a woman of impeccable character who raised her children in a godly way, adding she was a source of strength to the family and those she came in contact with during her lifetime. The statement adds that Mama was a rare gem, a supportive wife, a loving mother who would stop at nothing to ensure the welfare of her children, members of her immediate community, and the society at large. The statement concludes that Mama made positive impacts on the lives of people in her community as the Iyasuno of Ifo and a queen of that great kingdom in Egbaland. She will be greatly missed. The governor therefore sympathized with amiable Speaker and brother, Right Honorable Olakunle Oluomo, and prayed that the Almighty Allah will grant him and his siblings the fortitude to bear this irreplaceable loss. The governor, while praying for the repose of the soul of the deceased, said the greatest tribute to pay to her memory will be to emulate Mama Tawakalitu Oluomo's life of selfless service to God and humanity. Adebola Oshomoji is standing by for business news. Stay tuned.
Welcome to the business segment of the news. The Monetary Policy Committee meeting of the Central Bank of Nigeria has decided to raise the monetary policy rate at a basis of 100 points from 13% to 14%. This was made known by Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, at the end of the fourth Monetary Policy Committee meeting for the year 2022. The committee retained plus 100 and minus 700 basis points around the MPR as well as cash reserve ratio of 27.5% at liquidity ratio of 30%. The Central Bank of Nigeria Bank of Governor said the decision would curtail inflation and urged the banking sector to continue to use development financial tools to support the agricultural and manufacturing sectors to boost growth.
In a combination of medical tourism and educational tourism. Nigerians now go to school shamefully in some of our neighboring West African countries and they do us. Our interest in this is that it reduces medical tourism.
The Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, and the African Development Bank Group, AFDB, have signed an agreement for a grant on market surveillance system project. The grant, worth $460,000, is worth finance technical assistance and capacity building for capital market development under the Nigeria Securities Market Surveillance System project. Director General AFDB Group, Mr. Lamin Barrow, who spoke during the signing, explained that the grant from the Capital Markets Development Trust Fund, a multi-donor trust fund administered by the bank and supported by the Ministry of Finance of Luxembourg and the Ministry of Foreign Trade and Cooperation of the Netherlands, will support the acquisition, installation, and deployment of a real-time automated security market surveillance system of the capital market. In compliance with the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation (NNPC) Limited directive, the oil marketers have increased the pump price of petrol to 179 naira per litre from 165 naira per litre. In its directive to oil marketers, the company had put the new pump price and ex-depot price at 179 naira per litre and 167 naira per litre respectively from Tuesday, July 19, 2022. According to reports, oil marketers have already adjusted their pumps to reflect the directive in Lagos, Abuja, and other parts of the nation. In its quest for transparency and accountability in the petroleum sector, Other paper has unveiled the Volume 1 of its Revenue Remittance Compliance Index. The Revenue Remittance Compliance Index is made possible with data provided mainly by the Fiscal Responsibility Commission. The index report comprises 3 categories: above average compliance, and below average compliance. According to the index, the Central Bank of Nigeria, the National Pension Commission, the Content Development and Monitoring Board, and 16 other agencies have performed below average. And that was business news. Back to Yabo for the rest of our bulletin.